Welcome to another episode of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. I'm so glad you could join us again today. As always, we are digging into those hidden profit leaks. Those hidden leaks that don't sit on your profit and loss, they don't sit on your balance sheet. They're not out there with a billboard going, find me, find me, find me. Instead, they're lurking in the dark corners of your business. Today, I'd like to talk about the importance of systems and processes. Systems and processes allow us to be able to grow our business efficiently and effectively. They allow us to ultimately be able to concentrate on the things that we as the business owner should be concentrating on. They allow us to run an efficient and effective business. They allow us to have teams that hum along and work well together. They allow us to ultimately have more sales and, of course, more profit. When we have efficient systems running along, we have less callbacks on our jobs. We have less balls that just get dropped. And I always think of balls like a raw egg. When they drop, they go splat. And so we have less of that happening because we have a system to make sure that things get done correctly and the same way each and every time. And by now you're probably saying, wait a minute, Diane, that sounds like a lot of work. And I will agree, systems are a lot of work. But I will tell you from personal experience, it's one of the best investments you can make in your business is to get it systematized. I remember the days when I had my employees, my team lined up outside of my door constantly because they didn't know what to do next because all that information was up here in my head. It wasn't documented anywhere. They didn't have a place to go when they had a question. They didn't have a script to follow when they needed to give somebody an answer. All they had was what I had pulled from my head from their questions. And that was a terrible way to run a business. And thank God my business does not run that way anymore. In my office, I believe we've documented over 1,500 processes. And yes, that's a lot. That is a lot of processes. But every one of them is important. Now, some of them only happen once a year. Maybe some of them happen a few times a year. Some of them we use every single day. So it's important to have these systems in your business. If something happened to you, what would happen to your business without systems and processes that are documented? Now, you could document them in several different ways. You can type them up, maybe in a Word doc, or you can record them with a screen recorder or even just your phone. On my Profit Amplifier coaching call just recently, we got to talking about how do you record systems out in the shop where things are happening and things are getting repaired or pallets are being loaded so a truck can get loaded or a van is getting inventoried and loaded. How do you record that type of stuff? Well, thankfully, you can grab your phone. We all have a phone with us, and you can record a quick video and possibly even talk through it of here's why you want it done this particular way. Here's the pros and here's the cons. Here's the benefits of doing it this way. We all know that there's lots of ways to skin a cat, but not all of them end up with the same result. They can get the job done, but if we're looking for quality output, we would like it done the same way every time so that we're guaranteed to get that same output. There are times when you can delegate the systems processes off to your team, and there's some systems you're going to have to create yourself. And I know that's uncomfortable. Not everybody is a system maker. I am a system maker. I will take a look at something and immediately my brain goes into system mode, how to turn that into a system. But I know not everybody is that way. So you can start out by just taking a look at your current workflows. In our Profit Amplifier group, we got to talking about which system would make the biggest impact in your business? Whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's just frustration, which one would make the biggest impact? Is it coming up with some sort of a standard operating procedure in your office, maybe for how the phone is answered? Is it a standard operating procedure around your invoicing so that you get paid quickly all the time? I have run into so many home service business owners that their invoicing is sporadic because they're not using their software to its full potential. Software like ServiceTitan and In-House Call Pro and those types of softwares will keep that invoicing going for you if you're using it in its full potential. But I run into them where they only are invoicing maybe once a month, and then they're wondering why cash flow is so hard. Well, if we had a system around that invoicing, who's responsible for it? How does it happen? What are the steps that have to take? What about getting paid? Are you getting paid electronically? Are you getting paid in cash and check and other ways? How does that money get into your bank account? What about creating a system around that? What about creating a system around the inventory that needs to be on your vans or your trucks so that every time you head out to a job, that van or that truck is stocked? And we're not digging around through this chaotic mess trying to find a particular item. Every item in its place and restocked on a regular basis. What about if you had a system around that? What if there was a system around making sure that your techs and your installers are not running back and forth across town? I know your software will help you do this, but what if we're not using that part of the software? What about if we had a system around scheduling so that we're scheduling for efficiency? There's so many places in your business that we can have a system. And I will tell you that when you don't have appropriate systems in place, your business can't grow, because if it does grow, you just create even more chaos. Your team is not happy because there's such chaos around them. They don't know which end is up. They don't know who's supposed to be doing what because there's no system around it. You're also having a huge profit leak, a big profit leak because of this inefficiency, not having the right job materials ordered, not having it show up on time. So now we're standing around waiting, or we've got everything in or working away on this job and we're missing one small little piece that somebody forgot to order. How inefficient is that? Now we have to come back. And so now we've lost money. That's profit to your bottom line. So what if we started looking at some of these systems that would allow you to do that, and getting comfortable with your software so that it can do a lot of this for you, making sure that you are becoming more efficient, keeping some KPIs so that you can monitor this efficiency. How many jobs are we getting done on an average day? How many jobs in a week? What's the average price of our job? Basic, simple KPIs that your software will give you. How many sales did we make this week? How many got closed? How many got finished? Watching those KPIs, we can start to measure when our efficiency starts increasing. And if they start going down, we know we have a problem. Once we've measured for a while, we can start setting goals. We want so many jobs closed every single week. We want so many calls coming through your system. We want so many percent of those calls closed into a job. Those are the easy KPIs because your software will do most of it for you. There's a lot of different automation tools and apps and software and stuff that can make this part easier for you, but don't get hung up on all that. Just start out with just a basic process, but keep it the same or similar, so that when you get done, you have a standard operating procedures manual that is kept electronically. You may even keep some paper copies. I know in my office, we have a binder up front at our reception desk. And I think my receptionist, she uses it from time to time, but its huge value is if she's out sick or she's out on vacation, somebody else can go up front, grab that binder, take a look at it, and find out what has to happen certain days of the week. What are the have-tos that must happen every single day up front? So we make sure the business hums along, even if that person isn't there. Have another similar binder in my bookkeeping department because there's just so many pieces you have to remember about all these different clients. So why not have them all in one place? The rest of our systems and processes are just kept electronically on our network drive. So you can do any combination of things depending on what fits better for your business and your team. So don't get hung up on those pieces of it, but pick an area. Pick an area that would make an impact in your business. There's got to be an area somewhere that is driving you nuts. A lot of frustration for you or for your team somewhere. Somebody's dropping the ball. And it could be because we don't have a system around it. It almost always is because we don't have a system around it. Wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between systems and processes. Systems are the main topic, and then the processes come along beside that system, and they support that system. A system might be let's say a system might be appointment scheduling and dispatching, but then your processes are going to be how to use your software, how to use your phone system, all the pieces, the scripts, the pieces of stuff that you have in place that allow that appointment to be scheduled and ultimately dispatched out as a call. We might have a system around inventory managing. And then within that system, we have processes for keeping your vans or your trucks supplied. You may even have a small area within your building where you keep some basic supplies. Keeping that monitored, keeping it stocked. Who places the orders for the jobs and how are they placed? How often are they placed? All of these things are addressed in your inventory management system. You may have a field service management system, and that helps to coordinate all your different field operations. So you have your main system, and then you have your processes, which might identify some of your communication. And we might identify if we're using GPS tracking, and if so, how are we using it? How often is it updated? How often is software updated? Those types of things. So we have a lot of processes supporting one system. We may have a human resource or an HR system. And within that system, we talk about onboarding a new employee. What are the different pieces of information that we need? Backing up to that, do we have a job description? Is it accurate? Do we have a job ad that actually converts into people who are interested in your job? All of this can fall underneath your human resources area well before you ever hire somebody. Once you've hired them, do we have some processes in there for continued training, for getting feedback from them, having some one-on-one meetings with them? So you become a part of what they're doing, and they know that you as the owner are listening to them, and they feel heard, they feel valued. We might have a system around safety and compliance. What are your company's standards for safety? The processes around that system may entail some safety meetings from time to time. It may entail a new something or other that you want to put in place for your team as they're out there on the road to make them safer drivers or something along those lines. We might want a system around customer communication and support. When we do that, we're able to monitor those inbound and outbound calls. We're possibly keeping some KPIs on happy calls versus unhappy calls. How many callbacks are we getting? What are we doing to make it right if we do get those kind of calls? What kind of training is being done so that employee does a better job the next time and we get fewer callbacks? How many reviews are we getting? All of those are in your customer communication and support. What are you doing to create what I call an out of this world customer experience? What is the processes that support that? These are all pieces of the system, customer communication and support. We might have a system around financial reporting, which goes into your accounting piece of your business, the bookkeeping side of your business. Your system in there might have processes to where you as the owner receive some reports on a regular basis. Maybe it's weekly, maybe it's monthly, but you're watching your numbers. And if you're utilizing the Profit First system, you're making your Profit First transfers. My recommendation always is weekly. We usually make them every Monday morning. So we know what came in the week before and we make our transfer before we head into another busy week. So watching those numbers, how much was our transfer into our various accounts this week compared to other weeks? There might be reports based on accounts receivable, accounts payable. What are our unpaid invoices? Are we paying things timely? Are we starting to get behind? There's so many processes that fall under the financial reporting and analysis system. Maybe we have a system around technology and IT management. We all have computer systems in our offices and our businesses, and somebody has to manage that. So hopefully you've got a system around it and you've delegated some sort of duties as to who's responsible for keeping all of your system rolling. In my office, we've got many workstations on a network. So who's responsible when something starts going wrong? Who reaches out to our IT guy? How much of it can we handle ourselves just because we've been doing this kind of stuff for a really long time and we've learned a few things? What can be handled in-house and what has to be pushed outside to the IT guy? What about software, keeping software up to date? Who's responsible for that? There's so many different areas that we can build processes around something like technology and IT. What about time tracking and payroll? We might want to have a system around that. Now, we have to track our employees' time so that we can pay them. That's almost a requirement for payroll. But who's in charge of making sure everybody's time is turned in? Who's in charge of converting that time into actual payroll? And then what are the steps involved? Is a third-party outside company doing it? Or is it happening in-house through your QuickBooks program or something along those lines? How is it happening? How does it get from someplace into the payroll system? When are your payroll checks processed, whether they're electronically or paper check? How often are they processed? How do they get from numbers being put into software somewhere into actual money being put into somebody's bank account? What about your payroll tax deposits? Who's in charge of that? We don't want you in trouble with the government. We want you to constantly be staying on top of this stuff. Who's in charge of the monthly, quarterly, and annual filings that have to be done in the world of payroll? Who's in charge of issuing those W-2s? There's a lot of processes under the heading of time tracking and payroll. What about vehicle and equipment maintenance? Here again, that's another system we can be looking at. Do you have a regular maintenance schedule for all your trucks and your vans? Are you tracking the miles that are being put on them? And we know that every so many miles, this type of maintenance has to be done. Do we have a checklist for your drivers of your vehicles so that they're making sure that things are happening? Something as basic as the oil gets changed in it. So creating these processes that support your systems creates much more efficiency in your company. When the company is humming along with efficiency, then you're able to scale. But we can't scale or grow this company if we haven't built the foundation of systems which are supported by processes or procedures. Either word works there. And as I'm working with home service businesses in my Profit Amplifier coaching group, I see all the time a lack of systems. Oftentimes, my business owners feel like they're just running an adult daycare center. And we can fix that by implementing systems and then doing training. So that brings up the question is, how are we going to implement these systems? Are we going to use a carrot or are we going to use a stick? Different people respond different ways. If you can get your team involved in creating these systems and processes, they'll feel ownership and they'll be much more likely to follow these systems that we've been creating. If they're created by up above, somebody up above, management or the owner or whatever, and then they're just told, here's our new system and everybody needs to follow it, that's not going to go over as well. So we want to make sure that we get our team involved in creating these systems and processes. You may have to do the first ones just to get it going and get some sort of a template to follow. But then after that, your team should be able to jump in and start helping as they see things that you, the owner, doesn't see because they are the frontline people out there. So how can we get them involved? How can we show them what's in it for me? And show them how this is a benefit to them, that we create these systems and then we as a team, as a company, follow these systems every single time. So let's plug this profit leak of inefficiency that is centered around lack of systems. And when we have systems in place, you'll notice your bottom line profits really start to increase. I remember the days when I had 2 to 3 times the amount of team that I have now, but our sales were less than what we do now because of inefficiencies and lack of systems. Everybody running around, busy, 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 but the billings were not there. And I could never figure out why. What is going on? We're working so hard. Why can't we exceed this particular financial number? Well, once we started getting systems in place, we realized we had duplication of effort. Though that duplication of effort was hitting my bottom line profit big time, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even think about looking there as a profit leak. Once we got rid of the duplication of effort, and some of that came about with when a particular employee left, we didn't replace them. Because of the duplication of effort, we were able to spread their duties out to other people. And we started having less and less duplication of effort and less inefficiency. Well, as that happened, our profits started to grow. It's amazing how that happens. So take a look in your own business. Where do you have profit leaks in your systems? Where do you have inefficiencies? Where are you or somebody else in your company just kind of running around like a chicken with its head cut off, putting out fires all day long? You're not a fireman. That's not the industry that you're in. You're in home services. And if we're running around like a fireman trying to put out fires all day long, that's a very big indicator that we don't have sufficient systems. So I'd like to invite you to join me as my profit amplifier group is digging into systems is our current topic. And we plan to be here for the next couple months as we dig into where are these profit leaks? What is the first system that makes the biggest impact on their business? Is it a system somewhere around their employees? Is it a system that has to do with tracking their inventory? Is it a system that has to do with keeping those trucks and vans maintenance and well running and on the road? Is it a system around scheduling those appointments and not overlapping things or double booking somebody? Or having somebody sitting out there twiddling their thumbs because they showed up somewhere and they weren't able to get in because there was nobody who set that up with the homeowner? What system would cause the biggest impact in your business? And then come join us as we work through these systems in our companies. Our weekly coaching calls will have time periods of what we call CEO time, where we actually put our heads down and go to work. And we start drafting out what these systems could be, where to start, what's most important, and then working our way down from there. I've built out a little template that my team or my coaching clients will be using as we identify the system and then the processes that go along with it. So come join us. Come be a part of this as we dig into the systems that make our businesses stronger, make them more efficient, and most of all, make them more profitable. I'm all about finding those hidden profit leaks, adding them back to your bottom line dollars. I always say I don't get super excited about that top line revenue. I get more excited about your bottom line revenue. I've seen home service businesses that are 10 or 15, 20 million with a bottom line profit of only maybe 5%. Let's fix that. Let's get that bottom line profit at a minimum of 15%, pushing upwards of 20 or even 25%. That's a well-oiled machine when we are able to start accomplishing that. So come join us, come find out what Profit Amplifier is all about, and let's dig into systems. Let's get your business running efficiently. For more information on that, go out to our website at profitcoachforyou.com, and you can find all kinds of information about our different coaching programs. You can book your Profit Impact Call, where we will go through your business and show you some areas where profits are leaking out. I can always find somewhere between at least $50,000 to $100,000 in leaking profits within about a 30 to 40-minute Zoom call. So it's pretty eye-opening when we start looking at a business and start looking for areas that profits are leaking out of businesses. So let's start closing these profit leaks. Let's start plugging them. And I don't want to just use bubble gum. I want to use something that's going to last for many, many years. Let's plug these profit leaks and let's get your business more profitable. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't already seen it, I'd love for you to download my free monthly nut exercise. In this exercise, we go through and help you identify what does it cost to run your business every single month. And when you know that number, then you're able to look at your average monthly sales and determine at what point in the month does your business become profitable. Are you profitable on the 20th of the month? How about the 25th? I'm hoping it's well before the 30th. What point do you become profitable? And then it is just profit from that point to the end of the month. We've covered all of the hard, fast costs that you incur on an average month. So be sure to download that. If you've got any questions, reach out. I'm happy to hop on a call and work through it with you. Just trying to help serve the home service businesses and help you guys become more profitable. I'm passionate about finding these profit leaks for you. Well, till next time, thank you so much for joining me on the Profitable Home Services podcast. I'm going to keep looking for profit leaks for you and bringing them so that we have something to share with you each week. Keep looking for hidden profit leaks in your own business, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Have a great day.